Good evening. Ukraine is bracing itself for another night of Russian bombardment as the invading troops continue to attempt to take Kyiv. Last night and early this morning, rocket fire and heavy gunfire was heard all around the city as Russian soldiers fought Ukrainians on the streets. But the city has not fallen. President Volodymyr Zelensky saying they've repelled several assaults. This is Kyiv Live tonight, a city now under a 36-hour curfew and where darkness has once again brought renewed explosions. We'll be live from there in a moment, but first, our global security editor, Rohit Kachru, reports on the battle for the city.
An unidentified missile slams into the side of a block of flats. Both sides in this conflict said civilians would be protected, and yet it was civilians being carried injured from a residential building this morning. It was evacuated before being hit on this day 3 of this invasion. A child's bedroom now missing 2 walls and a floor. Possessions now just debris, books that will never be finished. We found this man as he returned to search for his family's things after their home was destroyed. He says his wife and children were in the shelter for safety. Then the missile hit.
Моя квартира повністю розбита. 20-й поверх.
He says his apartment on the 20th floor was completely destroyed.
У мене одні емоції.
I am lost for words. I have only emotions, he says. And as he left, he had one final message.
Україна переможе! Слава Україні! Героям слава!
Firefights and airstrikes were heard across the capital overnight and early today. The Ukrainian military said they repelled several Russian attacks. The fire you can see here was part of a Russian convoy stopped as it entered the city.
Всім доброго ранку, українці.
Ukraine's exhausted president posted a video from the heart of Kyiv, saying his country was fighting back, echoing the views of some Western governments. Reports now say the American government has offered to get him out of the country, but he said he wanted ammunition, not a lift. The atmosphere is tense in the besieged city. We saw people being arrested as the police and army tried to lock down Kyiv. This evening, a 39-hour curfew is underway. And tonight, a rallying call from Vladimir Klitschko, the heavyweight boxer and brother of the city's mayor.
You need to act now to stop Russian aggression with anything you can have now.
Main roads turned to trenches, quiet suburbs to war zones. This city is being prepared for a major assault. Rohit Kachru, ITV News, Kyiv.
Well, live now to Kyiv and our Europe editor, James Mates. James, it's clear this is not going all President Putin's way.
No, absolutely not. And after a serious attempt to take the city last night, it's been an eerily quiet day, but obviously serious concern that another one is on the way tonight. And that's why this city's under curfew. Everybody is to stay in place, not just tonight, but right through till Monday morning. Anyone seen to be out and about will be assumed to be hostile. So the question now is another big Russian assault coming? The Russians say it is. US intelligence says that 50% of all the Russian armies around Ukraine are now in the country, with tens of thousands more troops coming in the last 24 hours. And we await to see whether the Ukrainians once again can fend that off, whether they still have the troops and the equipment and the ammunition. Lots more is coming. Many countries have promised ammunition, anti-tank weapons, fuel, jet fuel. It can easily get into the country through the Polish border, but can it get to the front in time?
James in Kyiv, thanks for that update. Well, as the fighting goes on, so too has the number of people fleeing. More than 120,000 are reported to have crossed into neighbouring countries. Live to our correspondent Lucy Watson, who's in Poland tonight. Lucy, very moving scenes there.
Yes, Romilly, this is a humanitarian crisis that keeps on escalating. More than 100,000 Ukrainians have made it across the border into Poland in the last 2 days, and that is why relief centres like this one, you can see nappies, you can see toilet roll, you can see water, you can see food here that is just being brought in by people who live nearby. That is because when refugees get here, this is a train station very close to the border, and when people get here, they have virtually nothing, and they have been waiting in queues that stretch for miles on the Ukrainian side. Some people waiting up to 60 hours in their cars. Cars have been abandoned. There are elderly people waiting in line. There is no water. There is no fuel. People have no access to any toilets. They have no way of keeping warm at all. When they get here, the Polish government have reserved around 70,000 beds for the war-wounded that do arrive. Now, we must remember that these people that are now refugees, 2-3 days ago, they were doing just what we do, go to work, going to school. Now they are fighting for their lives, trying to stay alive, keep their children warm and find somewhere to sleep.
Lucy, thank you for that. Back here, there have been lots of expressions of solidarity with Ukraine. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge tweeted their support for all the people of Ukraine before attending England's rugby game against Wales. And finally, amidst the misery and horror created by the invasion of Ukraine, the birth of this child is being seen as a sign of hope. In the basement of a hospital in Kyiv last night, a baby boy was born beneath a city where a battle is being fought in the hope he can grow up free.
Nonetheless, Russian troops are gaining territory, seen here in red, particularly in the east. Ukrainian officials say 198 people have died in the fighting so far.